I've not been feeling myself lately. I think I've got a touch of Isaiah syndrome. Let me explain. Right, let's attempt to share with you what the problem is in terms of the height of, um, of this headlamp compared to this one. I think this one is correct, and I think that one is too high. That's the near side, this is the off side. So the first thing we'll do is I've marked out the highest position on the wing, and I've marked out the centre position in line with the centre of the wheel to check the wheel arch position. So I'm just going to confirm the wheel arch position first, and that measures adjust it on there, that's 43 centimetres. This side measures 43 centimetres. So that's the same, the wheel arch is the same. If you look at the side of the wing, from the top section to where the wheel arch is, that measures the same. What I'll do, I'll put this piece of timber across the top here, in line with the marks on top of the wing. And I'll measure from the wheel arch, the bottom of the wheel arch, to the top of the timber. That measures 20.5 centimetres, so 205 millimetres. And this side measures 204 millimetres. So pretty much spot on. So that means I'm happy with the wheel arches being the same height as the in both sides. I'm happy with the thickness of the wheel arch compared to the top of the wing, so I'm happy with that depth from the top of the wing to the wheel arch. So the wheel arch profile versus the wing top is the same both sides. I'm happy with that. This piece of paper here on both sides, that represents an actual TF profile of the front wing, and the profile has taken off an MGTF from here to the edge of the wing is 3.5 inches. So this one is 3.5 inches from there to there. This one, out of curiosity, measures 5 inches from there to there. So that's indicating that's high, or this is wrong. So just do a drop check to the floor. The floor is pretty level. So drop check from there to the tip here. That measures 68, so 683 millimeters. That side. And this side measures 683. So near enough, both the same. So that means this wheel arch profile, which is what I'll recreate, is the same both sides, but this is, as I just said, is significantly higher. That measures 13 centimeters, 130 millimeters. 130 versus 90 millimeters. So yeah, 90 millimeters. So right, let's put this across the wing. So the spirit level, still got the spirit level on the chassis, though you can't see it. Spirit level on the chassis, that beam going across there, is bang in the middle of the spirit level. So we'll put this on there like that, and what I've done is I've packed this side up by this amount. I've already measured it before. So 2 washers on that piece of wood, which measures 25 millimeters, and now the bubble is in the middle. So everything points to that pod being too high. I like the look of this pod, and I like the fact that this pod is lower this pod is lower, so if I put that on there, it's about 10 mil, 12 mil lower to get the bubble level. No, it's probably about 15 mil, lower than the top edge of the side of the engine side panel. And this one here, put that on there, that is slightly high. To get the bubble right, that bubble is, it's about 6 millimeters higher than the side panel there. That's 15 mil lower, this is 6 mil higher than the side panel there. Right, if we look at this pod, the first thing I notice is this radius here is a lot tighter. It's a lot tighter radius. That's almost the radius of my finger, compared to this one, which is a much bigger. It's a much bigger radius around that pod. And the other thing I've done is I've determined where this pod, where the pod is obviously this surface here, this curved surface top of the wing, and there's this surface on top of the pod, and where that pod blends into the wing is there, just about there. So I've measured that distance from there to the front of the pod, and it measures 19 inches. On this side, this side I've measured the pod, done the same, felt where it blends. This surface blends into this surface blends into this surface, and it blends there. So if you measure it from there to the front of the pod, that's 22.5 inches. If I measure from the back here to 19 inches, the same as the other, that's where it is. It's that much difference. That means that this is 22.5 inches this side to where it blends in to the wing. So the pod blends in further back. So because it blends in further back, that indicates that the pod is higher too. The distance, obviously, the difference between the two, 19 to 22, it's 3.5 inches difference. So this pod blends in 3.5 inches further back on this wing than it does on that wing. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if you can see with the headlights on, but the angled face, you can't really tell, but the angled face of this compared to that one, that is angled back that way about 4 degrees compared to this side, which is another indication to say that that pod is higher. It's almost like the pod is, the position at the back is almost correct, but it's not, because it's 3 inches difference. But it's almost like that pod, as well as being higher, is also pointing up more. So what's the solution? What am I going to do to fix this? Well, because I'm happy with where the wing is, I think the wing fits the body nice, I think the wheel arch is nice, I think the top of the wing is good, and the only thing that's different is the pod. This pod is different to that pod. I like the look of that pod. This pod is too high, it's sloping back. So the only thing you can do is to cut the pod out. So what I'll end up doing, I believe, is I'm going to cut all around the pod, basically all the way around, and remove the pod altogether and leave a big hole in the wing. Then what I'll do is I will repair the hole in the wing. So this face, this plane here, all across, I will make that aperture smaller in the wing, and then I'll reintroduce the pod to the aperture and just make it fit a smaller aperture like the aperture on that one, and get the pod at the right angled face. So what I might do is measure the distance between the two headlights and make some kind of a jig, a timber jig, if you like, a frame to actually hold this pod in the same attitude as that one. Put a spirit level on it to get it in the right position, and then maybe either put some aluminium, screw some aluminium across it just to make sure it's sitting in the right place. Do a few checks and then fiberglass it in, and then reblend it with some filler. Unless you've got any better ideas. So that, in a nutshell, is what's wrong with the wing, or the pod on the wing headlight pod. So that's what I intend to do. If anybody's got any better ideas, then please feel free to let me know.